Welcome back to my Code to Care series. I'm continuing the discussion on Agentic AI and how agents, or LLMs, call tools. Because part of the Agentic AI flow is not only using GenAI agents or GenAI systems to write, like they have done for the past couple years, but to make decisions and call tools which affect the outside world. Call APIs, look up proprietary data, call Python code to do something, that kind of thing, so they can get things done. So I'm continuing an example of an HR system, and let's do a more complicated example. So let's say you have, bought 10 companies or merged 10 HR systems. You have an employee data in a database, and it's kind of all messed up. Like a bunch of employees are missing emergency contact information, or that countries need to be normalized. One system, used UKI for the UK and Ireland. Another system used England, Scotland, Wales. Different granularity, things like that. So you kind of want to clean up this system. But imagine the employee emergency contacts, important thing that you'd like every employee to have. So you, in the old-fashioned days when we dealt with humans, you might ask an HR person, a junior HR person, hey, can you kind of look through all the employee data and email employees and get them to fill out their emergency contact information, and let me know when it's all done, when we have emergency contact for all of our employees. So could you ask an Agentic AI system to do something like that? So can you... It'll be a longer prompt, but can you get emergency contact info for everyone? So look it up in the database. If it's not there, can you email the employee, ask them for the information? When you get it back in an email, can you update the database? If the employee is not responsive, maybe wait a couple days, email them again. And after 3 times, you can give up on the employee. Maybe they're not willing to provide it. That kind of thing. So imagine an instruction like that to an AI system. So you would take that and put that in the prompt, and then you would supply a list of tools. So imagine the tools are: you can call an API to list all employees. You can call a tool to look up information on one employee. You can write an email. You can send an email, write and send an email to an employee. You can read an email response back from an employee. And you can update the HR database. Okay? And here's the 5 tools. Here's the parameters for each of the tools. And in your prompt, you have this instruction. And then you're basically asking the LLM, what would you like to do next? So you send this out to the LLM, and the LLM might say, I see you're asking me to do this. It might have some level of writing back its evaluation, and says, in the end, I want you to call the list all employees tool. Actually, there's usually one more tool. The last tool is usually tell me when you're done, which isn't quite a tool, but just a specific, like, I'm done with this task. So the LLM will probably say, give me a list of all employees. And like I described in my prior video, you're going to see that tool request. You're going to call the tool in your little Agentic AI system. And then you're going to give the response back to the LLM. And the LLM is going to say, OK. Then it's going to rip through each employee, presumably, and look up each employee. If it doesn't have an emergency contact, send an email, construct and send an email to that employee, get a response, blah, blah, blah. So essentially, there's going to be a loop of asking the LLM what it would like to do next, the LLM responding, call this tool with these parameters, then you sending back what that tool sent and asking what would you like to do next, and it's saying, okay, call this next tool. And then, so that's going to be one loop of continually saying, what would you like to do next to the LLM? And then the other loop, of course, is you parsing the response, which usually is a tool request, and then calling your internal tools, and then packaging up the response and sending it back to the LLM. So this is kind of one loop. And this is kind of another loop. And the whole process will end when the LLM says, I'm done with this task. Hey there, I'm just popping in to say that I'd love to hear your comments and feedback on this video. I read all the comments, so let me know what you think. Let me know what suggestions you have for my next video by putting in some comments below the line here. Thanks. So, question is, do you think something like this would work? The answer is that it does. So, in a future video, we can kind of dive in and I can show you how this actually works. But LLMs are just fine at determining what the next action might be. They're just fine determining for a task like this what it really needs to do as a next step in each kind of scenario to complete this task. And then there's frameworks for this, and I'll describe that in future videos, but you just need to parse the response, call your tools, write a bunch of tools, but call those tools, get those responses, send them back, and the GenAI systems are smart enough to know how to plan and execute a task like this. So this whole bundle is really what Agentic AI is all about. And it's basically elevating GenAI from just writing a response to a prompt, the back and forth that you're used to over the past couple years, and actually getting things done like a human would get something done. So that's where the real potential is to really accelerate and augment us in doing some of the potentially grunt work of work. And this is a good example of that, I thought. So I hope that was interesting and educational, and I will enhance this in future videos to talk about frameworks. You might have heard the letters MCP, this Model Context Protocol, and how that works, but it's all in the agentic concept of leveraging GenAI to interact with tools and get things done beyond just writing responses. Okay, thank you very much. Bye-bye. Hey there, I hope you liked this video. I've added a next video at the end of this, so take a look at that if you enjoyed this. And if something resonated with you, please drop a comment down below here. I read every comment myself, and I really appreciate hearing from you. Thanks.